Hello, welcome back to the series on the RM74 3D drawing for model railway. This episode I'm going to be looking to do things like adding small details as and where I find them, little changes I can come up with as I make them. With this episode we're going to be sort of jumping around the model a little bit. I think from now on, with the majority of the larger bits done, I'm just going to be looking to make fine tweaks and adjustments, going through the photos and see what can or can't come up with. Okay, so the first thing I've spotted really is on the bogey. So if we jump to the bogey, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to before the mirroring phase. Ooh, I don't want to edit. I want to roll history marker back. Oops, still further. So there, we've got back to this position here before we've mirrored things over. I'm going to turn off the wheel, and obviously the first thing we're going to have is we've got no hole for the axle to sit in. So I'm going to draw a sketch on the rear surface here. And the axle sits in this point here. Problem we've got here is you want the hole to be about 1 millimetre. And obviously that's going to not leave a massive amount of room around the outside here. So I think it might be alright, but it is going to be quite brittle there. I'm going to extrude that. Ooh. Cancel that. That's gone into a taper. Let's try that again. Edit, and then just drag that back in. We go 1.1 millimetre. And then on the top edge here, I'm going to just knock a little fillet into the top. Maybe 0.15 millimetres. One fillet, maybe do one shot. I'm actually going to change that to a chamfer. I'm going to 0.2 millimetres there on that chamfer. Okay, so my biggest concern is whether that's going to be strong enough, really. But what we can do is I can initially do a test print, and if it's strong enough, then great. If it's not, then I can come back and make an adjustment to that if we need to. Because we've just come back in history, if we just jump back forwards, it will make an adjustment to all of them so that it copies that over on the mirroring. And if we turn off the wheel sets now, you'll see that every boat will have that in place. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to work on is I'm going to join this roof onto the conveyor. I think I'm going to print those as one part, and underneath here there's like a circular drum which allows the spoil to drop down into the last conveyor belt here. So you'd like to copy this component over, so we're going to do move to group, target, we're going to select that body here, which it won't do for some reason. So if it's not going to do that, what I'll do is a workaround. If we extrude that end, and I'm going to just join it onto the back of this one. So I'm going to drag that across 1 millimetre to the left, which obviously the rear roof selected. And then that still keeps them separately, but if you do combine, I'll select the shaker spoil conveyor first, and then the tool body, it will drag that body of the joint across into the shaker spoil conveyor. This one then loses its body, so you can turn that off, it does nothing now. And this body then includes that roof. So now anything we do in this part will be done on the shaker spoil conveyor. As I say, if we look underneath, we've got this large circular drum in here, which obviously allows the spoil to fall down to this belt. So to do that, I'm going to draw a sketch. Let's turn off. Turn off the rear cab for the moment. Okay, I'm going to draw on this bottom surface here. It's the bottom surface of that arm. Okay, and then let's slice through so we can see what we're looking at. And we're drawing on this surface here. Let's draw a circle, find the mid. Have it, so I'm going to draw that line on, or project that line on, and I'm going to draw a circle using that midpoint. I'm going to come back out. Go, yeah, I think 6 mil is probably going to be about the right size. Let's go 5 mil. 5.5? Yeah, 5.5 mil. And then I'm going to define distance from there to that point. 2 millimeters. And vertically, horizontally constrain those 2 points. That locks it into place. And then we can extrude that. I'm going to come. Up with it. I'm going to go up enough just so that it touches the roof. So maybe 4.5 millimeters. So it's cutting into these parts here. I'm going to tell it to join. Again, it's a part you're not really going to see, but it's going to just, you can see the profile looking through the side really, or anything else. So you'll see that profile looking under here. I'm not going to go into too much detail under there because it's not going to be seen. So I think I'm going to go and stick with that. I'd say, you know, look how difficult that is to see. Nobody's going to look under there at how much detail you add in. Okay, so one thing I've been looking at here in this area is this beam going across that we drew on a previous episode. Now if we turn that shaker conveyor off, we know that it's part of the rear cab. And I initially thought I'll just paste the shaker up through here, but obviously by adding these bits on the end, it's not going to be able to fit through this section. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to remove that from the rear cab because I don't think we're going to be able to have it. So we select that. Yeah, it's part of this here. Let's check that. There it is. So what I'm going to do, we just select that bit and suppress feature. That should hide this bit or remove this bit from the printing section, and we'll just check everything beyond that point hasn't been affected by it. Doesn't look like it has. Okay, so looking on this side of the model, we've got on the shaker this bit's a bit smaller. It's not sticking out quite so far, so we can reduce that by just doing a simple extrude on this part here. We'll take it back maybe 0.5 millimeter. What's that? Undo that. Let's try again. Let's make sure we've got the shaker selected, and then we can do it. So I'm going to go back 0.5 millimeter, take some of that off. And there's a couple of parts on here, so we've got the larger circle up at the 10 o'clock position, and then one that sticks out much further on the lower down section. So if I draw a sketch on that front surface, circle around 1.8 millimeters in diameter at the top here, and then that just sticks out 1.2 millimeters join, and then there's one down at about the 4 o'clock position. It's a bit smaller. So I'm going to go further, something like maybe 1 millimeter. A little bit bigger. Yeah, 1.2, and then this comes out much further. I'm going to go maybe 2 millimeters. that's what looks like all the pipes are attaching to. One thing I've noticed on this one, on the shake, you can see the drum goes all the way across. Now we could draw that. The problem then is going to be support. No, we can do that actually. Thinking about it, I was thinking about the supports, but we could support from the inside and just cut those out afterwards. So if we draw a sketch on the inside surface of the far circle here, slice through to that, find the midpoint. Let's go for 4.5 millimeters in diameter. Select the whole profile. And then extrude. Because obviously we can't see how far it comes through, we're just going to say 9 millimeters join. And as you can see, that's not nowhere near further enough. We can edit that feature then. If we can select that reverse profile, so 14.2, it joins up. And again, we're looking at adding things there that the eye might see when you're looking down. I think it looks okay. Okay, next thing I'll notice on the chassis, we've got this metal box that comes along these pipes here. And it does appear to be on multiple units, so we can add that into the chassis, and it looks like in line with the second pillar in, it comes across to that position at the end there. So let's minimise that. Let's find the chassis. I'm going to draw on the inside surface of the chassis here. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to put a little bit of gap between that inside of the top edge. So I'm going to go, let's say, line up roughly where this middle part of that is, the second handrail guide. I'm going to come across, let's go 20 mil, 0.8. That's going to go a bit smaller, 0.6, 5, 0.65. No, that's not going to be big enough. Maybe 0.8 was okay. Select that profile, and I'm going to extrude it to the front surface to be joined. Click on OK. It looks okay, I think. So noticing there is, no there isn't. On this one it's smooth all the way across. This one seems to have had some sort of moulding fitted here, but I'm not going to worry about that. It's not on all of them. Okay, something I think I'm going to do now is find a way to support the bottom of the shaker on the chassis here, just to add a bit more strength to that. So I think I'm going to go select the chassis, and I'm going to come back before the mirroring. Where do we do that? About this position here, I think. Yes. So that's before we've mirrored across. And what I'm going to do is just draw on the inside of the chassis just a little lip that this can sit on. Get a sketch on the inside of that cut-out hole in the chassis, so in the recess part. And then just going to draw a rectangle. We'll attach it to the top edge. I don't think it really matters too precisely where you get your distance of reference and the size of it. It's up to you what you go for. I think I'm going to go for a millimetre thick. From the end there, 2.8 millimetres. 2.8 millimetres. And then that should be hidden underneath the bottom of the shape there quite well, I think. And select that and then extrude that towards us. Might as well go all the way across and snap it to that inside face, and then that'll add that little extra support there on that end. Like to catch up. This end won't be an issue because it's going to be attached to this part that comes up over the top on the chassis here. Just skip that to the end again. I think I'm going to do something similar for the bottom of this on the underneath of the chassis as well. Again, looking at the chassis, again, I can come back to prior to the mirroring. Surface, draw a sketch on that face, project on the edge of the bottom of the pickup conveyor, and then I'm going to draw just a small rectangle. Let's not actually undo that. So we've got a rectangle there, we can just extrude that. On 2 millimeters, join onto the chassis, and then once we lay all these parts in, that should be able to just glue up against the side there to support that. The top half, I think, will be supported with this beam here, and the bottom of the roof. I think that should support it on the inside here, attached to the bottom of the roof there, so that should be okay. We've got a small clipboard here, so I can add that onto the chassis. And it's over here. It's just a small rectangle, really. Okay. Dimension from there to there. 2.5. Relative height difference. Pretty much the same. I'll go for 0.2 just to keep it even. Extrude that. I'm going 0.5 millimeters. Join that onto the chassis. gives a bit of relief as well. You can paint that black and it'll stand out a little bit better. Okay, having gone around the model now, I think I've got to the point where I'm pretty much happy with everything. I don't think there's a lot more I can change, and I think the model's reached its full potential here. Yeah, I could spend more time going around adding tiny little bits and pieces on, but again, I'm producing this in Engage, and I don't think majority of them would be noticeable. I don't think it make much difference. And even if you were to scale this up to 4mm, again, I don't think you're going to see much improvement over what we've got here. And even if you do add all these bits in, I think the majority of that detailing will end up getting lost and just wouldn't really show up particularly well. So I hope you've enjoyed this series. Obviously, I'll show some videos of the completed model and how I go about turning this into the printed item. But I've certainly enjoyed drawing and producing this, so hopefully you have. So thanks for watching the series, and stay tuned for more episodes on something else. Thanks for watching.